COVID-19 has you down, or you need some more cleanliness in your life, please check out our proud sponsor Psycho Soaps at their Etsy site, www.etsy.com/shop/psychosoaps. I repeat, www.etsy.com/shop/psychosoaps. Horror-themed soaps, anything you need over there, from crazy to cute, anything you absolutely need.
Children of the night, what music they make.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Here's Johnny.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yes, you just put the gun to your forehead and pull the trigger.
You left the planet and you only moved the headstone! You only moved the headstone!
Back, everybody. I'm Reggae Mortis,
And I'm Boris Lagosa.
and you're listening to With the Dead of the Night podcast. Listen, guys, we are covering Jordan Peele's debut film, Get Out. Go ahead and get the facts, Boris.
Get Out, 2017, directed by Jordan Peele. Budget for this film was $4,500,000 US. Wait until you hear these box office. At a budget of $4,500,000, they made $176,040,665
Holy
US.
shit.
Major box office success for Jordan Peele. This movie stars Daniel Kaluuya as Chris, Allison Williams as Rose Armitage, Bradley Whitford as Dean Armitage, and Catherine Keener as Missy Armitage. And this movie is developed around the story of Chris and Rose. They're set to visit her parents for a weekend of festivities. After the meeting the family, Chris immediately develops an uneasy feeling with the Armitages. From the first encounter, to the way the groundskeeper Walter acts, to how the maid acts. Slowly, a boiling point is developing, even quicker after Missy hypnotizes Chris after learning he is a smoker. And it all goes downhill from there, fans. Chris develops dreamlike sequences of him sinking into the floor after a certain scene of which this slowly unravels. First, Rig, give us your thoughts of how this film starts out.
So it starts off as you have this biracial couple, and they're talking about, like, she's the one who says, listen, I want to introduce you to my family, and he has his concerns. He says, listen, like, have you told your parents that I'm black? And he's like, I don't think this could be an issue. He's like, you don't understand, like, this can be an issue to some people. This whole like racial kind of turmoil kind of thing going on. Like, he's uncomfortable.
Right.
And he's not really leaving the city. He wants to stay where he's at, and like he's going into like this area where he's never been, meeting this girl's family for her first time. And not only is he meeting her family for her first time, they haven't, like, in his eyes, they haven't been prepped, and he thinks they're going to be react negatively. And not only is he going to go meet her family, they're also having this like huge get together at their house where he's going to meet all her families.
Find out when they get there.
Yeah, pretty much when he gets there. Yeah, so. He's like, his nerves are through the roof. So you go through it, fast forward, they're on their way there. They hit this deer, and there's this whole scene where they have this they have this whole thing where he's like, listen, like, they pull over, they call the insurance company, call the police or whatever, and the police come and they want to ask them for the ID, and like, which is really, honestly, it's just standard procedure. If you're two people in a car, there's an accident, you have to get everyone's information.
Correct.
That's the thing. But she takes, quote unquote, she thinks that like he's being racist because, and he's listening like it's whatever. One, I'm used to that. This is like standard thing. It's like, hold on, being an African American man, it's just fine. Just give him my ID. It's not a big deal. It's like, no, this is bullshit. You're just doing it because he's a black man. You're just doing it all kind of. She's like, listen, like, babe, relax. Like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Just give him the ID. So he gets the ID, and they're set on their way. So they get to he gets to the house, and he realizes he has, like, you find out that he doesn't really have family. His father wasn't in the picture. His mother, he died in a hit and run accident, which ends up being more significant later on. But then he talks. He has his friend Rob, and Rob works with Rob. Is it Rod?
Rod.
Oh shit, it's Rod. Rod works with TSA, and Rod's a really funny.
Love Rod.
Yeah, Rod's a great character. He's just a funny character throughout the movie. But he tells him, like, listen, like, he's like, what are you doing, man? Going to a white girl's house, man? You don't do that shit. That's just dangerous. And, be careful. And he's like, I'm getting a weird vibe, and like, blah blah blah. And he's like, listen, like, give me a call. So they go meet the family, and you go ahead and it's just like once they get there, family's kind of pleasant, almost too pleasant.
It's too. You could tell it's fixed.
It
Bradley Whitford's character Dean,
yeah.
as he's talking to him, I voted for Obama like 3 times.
It-
I would have voted him
for the third
term.
time. Yeah, he's like, oh, I thought he was great. It's like so uncomfortably like he's
Fake.
trying to fake and trying to quote unquote accept him, for being like a black guy.
Whitford shined in this film though. He's every movie I've seen him in. He was great in Cabin in the Woods. Like Catherine Keener played a good character as Missy.
Mhm.
They found out he's a smoker, and they kind of get in this weird conversation where he just
Yeah.
makes him feel he's uncomfortable this whole visit.
Yeah, and before they get there, he's going to listen. Like I'm in the woods. There's deers here. Like I'm out of the city now. And then he sees he passes another black guy on the road, and he kind of looks at him, gets a weird look. Like what's up with that guy? And then sure enough, shortly after that, he meets the housekeeper. It's a black lady, and they're both like dressed like old people, like almost like something.
1800s type.
Well, I was thinking more like 60s or something like that. Like just have this old person look to them,
Right.
like someone would dress that way when like back in the 60s or something in their youth. So, and he talks to him and and he speaks to like the
It's very old England, very old.
yeah, it's very. They speak. They sound. It's just gonna sound fucked up, but they sound very white, like almost like, oh, gee, God, hookers. Sure, she's a great catch there. Like it's just like
when he says she's a doggone catch, isn't she?
yeah,
He's talking to Walter,
yeah,
and this is after the scene where he steps outside for a smoke the first night, and Walter's running around the yard like.
yeah, just like straight sprinting at him. And I've seen that. Like I seriously watched this movie for the first time this morning, and Boris has been telling me about it for years. Listen to me, and Jordan Peele come out swinging, man, with his first horror movie, man. Check it out. And this guy, like I'm not gonna say anything yet. Spoiler alert. We're covering a movie, so you obviously know we're gonna talk about it. But I was working right when this movie came out, and this guy was like, "Hey, listen, I won't tell you anything about this movie, but check it out. But make sure you watch out for so and so." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, that seems like it's pretty. Like that seems like a lot of information right there, which it was. But
We'll get into
it was. Yeah, we'll get into that. But there's this whole like weird scene where he goes outside. He tells them he quit smoking, but he's outside sneaking a cigarette. Walter comes charging at his ass, full speed, fucking hands straight out like he's like some like 1930s runner, like And there's a scene where she's talking about the father, like, oh, it's my father.
He got beat by Jesse Owens.
Yeah, he got beat by Jesse Owens. Like he's like, oh, this is his claim to fame, beaten by Jesse Owens. Like, that ain't someone's fucking claim to fame to fucking lose. Like it's a pretty famous person to lose against, but which we'll get into that more later too. So he goes in. Was it Missy? Missy's sitting in a thing like, were you outside smoking? Come sit down with me. He's like, okay.
This scene
And
is
like
gnarly.
and this scene is super crazy. Where it breaks down where she's like, listen, where were you at when your mother died? And he's like, oh, are we doing this right now? Seriously? And she's like, where were you at? And she's like, stirring tea. And you realize like she had drinking tea earlier, drinking this tea that she poured for him earlier. So he is having, he's sitting there and she just like, he starts talking and he starts to have like his past memories of like what happened to his mother. And you find out like she was supposed to be home at a certain time, but he was watching TV, so he has this guilt. His mother, she was supposed to be here then.
The scene where he's tearing.
Yeah. When there's a scene where she's like telling like what happened to your mother. Do you think it's your fault? And he's like, he starts to cry, and he's like sitting in a chair, and she's like back and forth with him as little boy, and him as the adult, and he's like clawing his nails into the chair, and you see like tears pouring out of his eyes. He's like, it was because they found out that his mother was in an accident, and she's supposed to be home at a certain time. And instead of calling, and asking where she was at, it was 3 hours later than she was supposed to. In the initial accident, she didn't get killed. So she would have called to find out where he was at, or like, listen, like, Mom has to come home, something like that. She possibly could have got saved because she literally bled out for 3 hours before she died. So he has this immediate guilt, like, there's one person in my life, my mother who loved me in my life. I sat there and did nothing but watch television because I was into my show, and he has this guilt. So then he's like sitting there and he's like, I can't move my body, and she's just like, fall back into your chair, and he's like, she him like kind of this crazy dream sequence where he's like falling into nothing, like falling into like this depth of like, I guess like the depth of his soul, and like he ends up waking up from a dream, correct?
Yes.
Like, but he's just like, you're in this like whole thing. And anyway, so he wakes up the next day and like, I feel like I had like this crazy dream last night, and I feel like cigarettes make me nauseous. I don't want to look at them, And then he goes out and he saws like, so and so is like, who talks to him? Like, oh, you like you and Missy were talking for a long time last night when you went in there. And this is when he has the conversation with Walter
about Allison Williams' character.
Yeah, and he's just
about
like
Rose.
Yeah, and he's like it's this really awkward, conversation with Walter. And Ross like, Walter is fucking weird. He has this really weird vibe about Rose's character, and like, he goes and says, "Oh yeah, I spent a lot of time." And that's when he comes to the conclusion it wasn't a dream. Like, he actually did get hypnotized, and he was like, "I went to this really dark place. I've been having fucking nightmares since that point."
Right.
And then we meet their brother. Their brother's super awkward.
Really
And,
fucking
yeah,
weird.
and like they have this dinner party. The brother's like, he has this whole thing. He's like, oh yeah, your genetics are so so awesome. You'd be awesome at UFC. And he's like, you put you on a chokehold and this is shit. And like, anyway, so fast forward, they have this. The next day, they have this big get together. And
this is when shit really.
this is when shit
everybody's
starts to
weird.
yeah. And he has his call. He calls his friend during this time. He calls his friend. He goes upstairs and he realizes that his
Phone's on.
phone, second time now, his phone is not charging, and he's like, "What the fuck's up?" And he comes to the conclusion, like, "Listen, like, I think what's her face, the servant lady, or whatever, she is unplugging my phone, like she's almost like a setup." So she ends up calling Regina. She ends up calling Rod, and Rod's like, "Listen, man, like, you're getting hypnotized. That's fucked up, man. Like, it all kind of fuck crazy shit, man. Sex slaves, all kind of shit. Like, you can get the fuck out of there, And he's like, well, and he ends up hanging up the phone with Rod or whatever, and he goes back to the party. You want to take over from here?
Sure. As the festivities are going on, Chris goes up to a man, another black man that's at the party by the name of Logan.
Yeah.
And he goes, nice to see a fellow brother here. And as he turns around, he notices something's off about him. Like, he's talking very...
His outfit is very, like, it's not, he's dressed very fucking old white man style. And he's with this old, heavier set white lady. And this doesn't, he talks, like, very, like, almost like it has this, like an old man would speak, And it's almost, like, very, it's very awkward to him. Like, this is fucking weird.
And you could tell when the scene's happening that he kind of has a deja vu, like he recognizes him.
Yeah.
But as we're going on, we're further on in this party, you have this old man walk up to Chris, be like, "Oh, I really like Tiger Woods," like just trying to get on his good side about shit.
It's everyone brings up finds some way to bring up that he is black,
right?
Like when an absolutely worst. It doesn't need to be necessary. It's not necessary whatsoever.
So as we get further on in this party. I believe Chris goes walking out with Rose out into the woods. They're sitting talking, and as Chris is talking, Bradley Whitford's character, Dean, is asking them if they want to play a game of bingo. Well, this is not freaking bingo.
Yeah.
Basically what it is a silent auction. And Jim, the man who Chris meets, the art dealer, the blind art dealer, is the one who buys Chris.
Yeah, that's what but real quick though, jumping back real quick, there's a scene where this is when he goes upstairs and calls Rod, and Rod's like, "Listen, like, that guy so and so is like."
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
He walks outside and goes, "This guy seems familiar. I'm gonna take a picture of him and show him to you." So he takes a picture of Logan.
He was a band player.
All of a sudden, Logan, he suddenly stops. His nose bleeds. And he freaks out.
When he takes a picture.
Yeah, he takes a picture. What happens? He thinks he's trying to take a picture. He doesn't realize the flash is on and the camera's, like, the sound's on. So he nervously tries to sneak a picture of Logan because he recognizes Logan. And he takes a picture, and then everyone hears it. And they're all kind of like sitting there, they all stop, and all look over at him. And then Logan, all of a sudden, he can see, like, almost like he's, like, comes to realize something's wrong. He comes like a realization, like it's almost like he's like snapped out of like a coma. His nose bleeds, and all of a sudden he just screams. It's Chris, right?
Yeah.
Screams at Chris. And he's like, "Get out!" And like charges at him. He's like, "Get out! Get out!" And he's like, "What the fuck?" And he runs off, and then everyone grabs Logan, and they bring him off to the other room. And they say that, quote unquote, they calm him down and said that he was. But you find out also during the scene that her father is a neurosurgeon.
Right.
So he's like, "Oh, listen, I'm a neurosurgeon. Like, Logan had like he had a seizure disorder.
Which is bullshit.
Which is bullshit. Which Chris is like, no, that's bullshit. He didn't have a seizure disorder. Anyway, so during this time, they're all calming Logan down. He goes upstairs, calls Rod, shows him the picture, and he's like, "Listen, like, that's so and so. He used to hang out. He used to hang out with this girl. We all know. Like I knew him, man. He's from New York. Like I know this guy." It's like, that's something's fucking wrong, man. Get the fuck out of me. I'm telling you, sex slaves, fucking run like that. So he's like,
Rod.
Yeah, Rod is a fucking awesome character. Anyway, so they go down. She takes it. Let's go for a walk. We'll go for a little walk, get you away from this.
Is where
And then, so he has this whole scene where he's like telling him he's uncomfortable. He wants to leave. He tells her he loves her for the first time because at the beginning of the movie they say like, they don't say love at all. Listen, like, I love you, and he's like, I love you too. We're gonna leave, or whatever. And like it's like, I feel really uncomfortable. I just want to get out of here. So during this time, like you were saying, they have this silent auction, and you realize
Part was creepy as shit.
and they're all like, of course, silent. They're all like giving numbers, and then they're all like kind of voting because you have the one lady who has Logan, who is she's obviously has some kind of shit going on with her. It's not sure it's the hypnosis or whatever it is during this time. I don't realize it, but you definitely realize like everyone, like every person who's in on this whole thing, and you realize like it's like, oh fuck, like so you have like this one lady, she's talking like or she maybe she just wanted a husband, or maybe or she has this Logan character as her husband. The one lady who's like filling up Chris's arms and things, like asks like this like ridiculous question in front of his girlfriend, like, oh, is it bigger? Is it better?
Yeah.
Like everyone says. Like she obviously is trying to vote to get Chris somehow as a slave or whatever the fuck it is, for a sex slave. And then you have all these other people, and then you have this blind photographer guy who owns a gallery. Who actually, I personally first thought like, okay, this guy might be the only decent person because he's like, listen, people don't understand art. I've seen your photographs. Like, I've heard about your photographs. My assistant reads everything to me. Like, you have amazing work. You have an eye. You have eyes for like, this beautiful stuff. And like, I would love to work along with you, whatever. So, do you think this guy's decent? He ends up being the person who wants to buy Chris during the silent auction. So, fast forward. So they go in, and then later at night they're all in the house, and then you realize, I'm trying to think what happens after that. Is to see
Chris finds the pictures
Yeah.
in the cubbyhole of Rose and different partners, including the woman who's the maid.
Yeah. So that's what right. So there's this whole scene where like he's listening, like I'm uncomfortable. I want to go home. Like I just want to get out of here. Everyone's giving me like a weird vibe. That guy already freaked me out. I know that guy from somewhere. I feel like something's going on. Can we please leave? I love you. I want to be with you. I don't want to leave you. I need to get out of here. She's like, okay, we will. We'll make up a lie so we have to go back to town. We'll leave. First thing. We'll leave tonight. So they get back, and while he texts and he finds out that so and so, like he finds out that Logan guy has been missing. Like something seriously wrong. I need to get out of here right now. And while he kind of looks over, he sees this door's open and there's this box. And he goes to the box and he finds a picture. And like early in the movie, she's like, listen, my parents shouldn't be an issue. My parents aren't racist at all. And even though you are my first boyfriend is black, like this shouldn't be an issue. And then at this point, he's going through the pile and realizing there's like multiple pictures of her having black boyfriends that she's bringing to this house,
And a girlfriend.
and a girlfriend or a friend or whatever how it was. Like, but you go through, it's like all these different people. It's Logan was one of them, or the guy or whatever his real name was, but he's one of the pictures. The guy who's the servant is one of the pictures, and then the girl who's also the servant and works at the house, she's in the pictures too. Georgina, like so he's just like, holy fuck, I need to get out of here now. Like he's trying to sleep. Hey babe, where are the keys at? And they're getting ready to sleep. He's like, oh, I can't find the keys. So he goes downstairs, and there's this whole end of this transition scene. So he goes downstairs and it's like, babe, where are the keys at? Oh, we're getting ready to go. Like, oh, why are you leaving so sudden? Like, oh, my dog, my dog's sick.
Need the vet.
Need to go to vet the first thing in the morning. We have to leave tonight. Oh, okay. Like, where are your keys at, babe? And everyone's kind of slowly
She's just struggling.
like, oh my God, babe, I can't find them. Oh my God, I can't find them. Where are they? I'll find them just soon enough. And all of a sudden they're kind of like, almost like kind of closing in on him. And then like he sits there and all of a sudden she's like, what's the brother takes a swing at me, misses, and looks back up and she's just like,
I can't get.
it's like, babe, I can't give you the keys. And he realized now it's all one big setup. And then she grabs a dish and she hits that. As soon as she chimes, this is when you notice it's all but that
He
little
drops.
key. Yeah, she hits the thing and he drops. And then the mother's like, take him downstairs, get him prepped. And like, okay, what the fuck is this at?
This scene right here.
And then you see him, they get downstairs, but then there's the transition scene into Rod. Remember Rod's scene? Where Rod's like, she see Rod's like, listen, like, so-and-so's missing, like, this guy's been missing for 6 months now.
And he's talking to the cops.
And he's like, listen, I work for TSA. Like, I do investigate. I learned how to do this shit, man. Like, I do detective shit too. We do terrorist shit. So we were actually above the detectives. So I'm gonna tell so-and-so. He's like, I think. So he goes to the police station. He's talking to this lady. He's like, listen, my friend, I think he's being held hostage. They're doing this whole thing. They're doing sex slaves. And so listen, let me get somebody else. So she brings this scene in. It's a really funny scene. She brings in these two other officers, like detectives or whatever, and they're all sitting there. He's like, break it down, tell us again what's going on. He's like, so like, my friends dating this white girl. They go to stay at this house. I told them not to do it. And I told them it's too dangerous. I think they did some kind of freaky like sex slave shit. Now this guy we know, he's there too. Took a picture of him. He's been missing for 6 months. He's there. A boy said he hasn't answered his phone in 2 days. I think he's missing. He's a sex slave now. What are we gonna do next? And they all start busting out laughing. And he realizes now that no one's gonna help him. So he goes back to his place and he's trying to figure out what's going on. He ends up getting pissed off. He says, listen, I'm going to record her. I'm going to call her because he's not answering his phone at all. I'm going to call his girlfriend and have her record it because she's going to spill everything to me. And then, she's already on to him. She knows what's going on. He thinks something's going on. So when he calls, she does this whole thing. And she's like, oh my, like you can see her. She's a completely straight face and she has this outfit on, like this white. She looks like
ballerina or something.
To me, I thought she was like Jennifer Connelly in fucking Requiem
for a Dream.
Yeah, she has that full on like the black hair in the back of the ponytail, like the lipstick, the white shirt.
That was a good.
Yeah, I'm like, man, like I always thought she was hot in that movie, but I'm like, man, like she looks completely different to this whole like wholesome girl. Like she's sitting there, and she's literally like straight face, like oh no, like talk like bullshit. You can tell she's like putting on this whole act. Oh my God! Like he's been gone for 2 days. I've been trying to call him. I tried to call him, but his phone's here. I don't know what to do. Like he hasn't been home yet. I think he doesn't want to be with me. Like all this kind of bullshit. And he's like, oh, I know this whole time. Like you've been after me. Like you always had a thing for me. You've been trying to fuck me this whole time. And she knows that. And he gets pissed off. Oh, fuck you, bitch! And hangs up the phone and realizes like, oh fuck, that was a whole thing to get me off the phone. Like she's good. Like something's going on. So then you see him leave the camera. You don't realize he's. You find out later on he's on his, he might be going to try to help him. Now we get to the basement. You want to take this part over?
Sure. We're in the basement here, and Chris is tied up to this chair, and the TV pops on. You're introduced to this family called the Coagulum.
Yeah.
Which is basically, I'd call it a cult.
Yeah.
Where he's performing lobotomies, switching brains. You find out that Jim donated his body to science.
Yeah.
He wants to have a set of eyes to see what everybody else is seeing.
Exactly.
Basically, the people that they're kidnapping are supposed to be a superior. They consider them the superior race.
Yeah.
And when you first watch this film, you think that it's going to be like about racial tensions and things like that, but it's really not.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. This family has like a cult, like they're basically a cult.
Yeah.
And Rose was found to have these multiple black partners. The Coagulum was introduced. It's all about mind control and finding the supreme being based on lobotomy.
And it starts off with it's the grandfather.
Right.
Which you realize shortly a few minutes later.
I thought this scene was funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's like so. They have this whole scene like always different people.
Out, obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's this whole scene where he's watching this thing. He keeps on going. They call it. He has this whole video where the photographer guy, gallery
Jim.
comes into the camera and is listen, like I can hear yours the whole thing set up. Like he's in a gown, and he breaks down to him. Listen, like I think you're a good guy. He said, but honestly, man, I just need some eyes. And so his whole thing is, it's going to be they keep a certain part of the mind in the conscious part, of the part of the brain. So they did this whole like the bottom switch brains or whatever. Puts his brain in his so he can use and he can see his eyes and everything else, but they keep a little bit of his conscious. A little bit of him is still left over. So then Jim goes off the screen, and then he's like, hold us, like he's like, oh shit, what do I do? And he realizes every time, and then shortly after that, the video comes on. It has a teacup, and as soon as it hits its chime side of the thing, he goes out. So you see him go out, and during this whole time, like it's like it's this repeating scene over and over again where she sees him as a little boy. And him as an adult, and he's clawing his fingernails to the point where, like, it's like almost like an anxiety type of thing, where it's literally the stuffing is coming out of the couch, And there's a scene where he's trying to pull his latches off his wrists with his mouth. So there's a scene like there's these the brother comes down, he's coming down to get the body in front of the body. Jim's already has his whole top of his head cut out and his brain out. And they're getting ready to bring up Chris up there to do the switch. So he goes downstairs, and you realize that all of a sudden he's doing some kind of thing, and then Chris hops up and he beats him over the head with like some kind of like glass ball or rock ball, and hits him over the head, hits him twice, puts him out, knocks him. You think he's dead because his blood's pouring out of his head, and he's laying on the ground. And then you see that he pulls the stuffing he pulled from the couch out of his ears, so he couldn't hear the teacup to put him out to sleep. So he knows
This part was really cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool scene. So and he runs upstairs, and this whole time he's watching, like the whole beginning of the movie, they hit this dough. And then in this movie, during this whole time, he continues to look up and sees this big buck mount on the wall. So there's a scene of the father, he finishes the lobotomy, looking for the son, like, where the fuck's he at? Why isn't he bringing the body up here yet? And he comes out to the hallway to look, and all of a sudden, it's like, this is one of the most creative ways I've seen someone get killed in a fucking horror movie. He comes charging out with the buck mount and stabs right in the neck. Bam! And hits his fucking, rams his ass against the wall, and he bleeds out really quickly and falls to the ground. And then he's going to go out of there. He's going to run out of there. So he finds and gets the keys. He's running down the stairs, and he comes face to face with Missy. Missy standing at the other side of the table. And they're both kind of this whole scene, they're staring down one another. And then she's sitting there, and she looks down, and there's the T thing. He knows if she touches that T thing, he's going to go out, and he's going to be done for. So, because she doesn't realize that, supposedly the son's dead, and also the father's dead. So, they both go for this whole thing. He smacks the teacup and shatters all over the floor. And then she grabs a knife, and she stabs through his hand. And there's this whole fucking Rick Grimes fucking scene where he pulls the knife and he stabs her right through the temple. And with the knife inside his hand, punches her inside of the head and stabs her in the temple and kills her zombie style. She drops to the floor. And then he's running to the door, and you realize that he goes to the doorknob, and you realize the son's not dead yet. So son runs and grabs him, puts him in a chokehold. Like he's talking about this whole fucking UFC thing he wants to do. He's dying to fucking wrestle him. He finally gets his chance to put him in a chokehold. So he's choking him out, and you feel like he's getting ready to fall asleep. And then, what the fuck is he hitting him with? He grabs his doorknob, he tries to ram him against the wall. He hits him with something.
Yeah, I can't remember.
For some reason, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, he overpowers the son and ends up stomping. Like you hear this disgusting stomping sound. He stomps the fucking son, the brother and the son to death. And then you see him run out, gets into the truck. He's peeling off. While he's running, he's trying to call Rod on the phone. Right. Rod puts the phone, and all of a sudden the phone drops. He hits what's her face, Gladys or Georgia.
Georgina.
He hits Georgina. Georgina gets flying over the hood. He has this whole thing. It's almost like a hit and run thing where she's like,
he takes Georgina.
He's like, oh no, what am I gonna do? So he goes back to hold us, do the whole thing with like he's gonna go save Georgina. He thinks like, okay, this girl is like, she's a victim too. Like like I have to save her. So, he goes and grabs her, throws her in the vehicle, and this is when everything kind of comes full circle. This is when you realize that the entire family is here. This is the grandma. this is the grandma. So it's also like Georgia is the grandma. What's his face? Walter's the grandfather. The one what's her face? Logan is that woman's ex-husband or her old husband or whatever. So it's all this whole shit. So he's peeling away. She's like, "You're destroying my house!" and like charges at him, and they wreck, and he ends up killing Georgina, and he's laying there. And then this is the scene where what's her face? She kind of wakes up from her she's got headphones in. She realizes something's going on. She has this fucking rifle, tries to shoot him, and you see her run down there. All of a sudden, he's going down there. Here comes Walter, and she goes, "See, fucking
Get him, Grandpa."
Get him, Grandpa!" He's like charging after his ass to fucking fight him, and all of a sudden, he wrestles him to the ground, and he gets his phone out, takes a picture, and you realize Walter, all of a sudden, like it did before, has this thing nosebleed. You realize he comes back to us, comes to his senses, and you don't realize she doesn't realize that she's got the gun. He turns around, looks at her, and goes, "Give me the gun, baby. Let me do it." And she said, "Okay, Grandpa." Gives him the gun, and he turns around and he just fucking blasts her right to the gut. Boom! And her ass fucking falls back, hits the ground. And he turns around, looks at him. I'm like, he can't tell if it's like, is this the guy, the old boyfriend? Is mine going on? Is this self-conscious, or is just the grandfather back and forth? Like, is it like a very quick, jump back and self-conscious where he's like, his previous self, or is this actually the grandfather?
Right.
And how long does that last? And then all of a sudden you see him turn the rifle to himself and shoots himself in the head and kills himself. So then he's laying there. He goes over, crawls over. He goes to go choke her to death. And she starts to smile. And he lets her go because he's like, "Listen, I'm not doing this. Like, she wants me to do this. I'm not giving her the benefit. She can fucking bleed out." That's what I thought was a really gnarly scene. And all of a sudden you see flashing lights behind him. And his whole full circle comes down like, "Oh, man. Now the fucking cops are going to be here. They're going to think he killed." It's like this murder, double murder going on. He thinks he's going to get, they're immediately going to go thinking it's him for fucking being this black guy or whatever. And then you realize, who was it?
Rod.
It's Rod. And Rod comes and pretty much saves the day at the end. He's listening, get in the vehicle. We're going to peel off. And what does the hell say to him at the end? He said something really fucking funny to him. "I told you so," something about sex slaves.
I told you about sex slaves.
I told you that they go to some white girl's house and meet her parents. That kind of shit. But he says something. He's like, that's what he says. He's like, "Listen, man, I'm the fucking TSA.
Hey, we get shit done."
So it's so fucking fun to see where he's the Rod takes him at the end. But then the movie just ends like that, man. But it's a good fucking movie. I'm really glad I finally. Boris has been telling me for years now to watch 3 years to watch this movie. Listen, he's like, "I'm telling you, man, like Jordan Peele has come out swinging with his horror movies, man."
Jordan Peele is not just a comedy guy, man. He's proven it. This was his first film, and he had another film too that just came out last year. That was just as good. I'm
going to see that next. I definitely want to check out Us. And he's also, we've heard rumors that he's going to do Candyman.
I think he's producing that. I don't know if he's directing it, but I did see a teaser for it, and it looks intriguing, very intriguing.
Yeah, if I haven't seen Us yet, but I want to check Us out, and kind of see what I think of it too. But shit, man, that's definitely an out of the box movie. And
right.
People might say it might not be hard. To me, it was pretty fucking horrifying.
Get Out I believe was a straight horror film.
Yeah.
I believe that it tied a little bit of old fashioned with the new era of horror.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't really have a complaint on the top of my head. I thought the story and the cinematography and everything else all was on par or above par. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a very great film.
Yeah, only thing I have to say is, unfortunately, it was that guy I used to work with. He was like, of course, I'm like, "Hey, man, I saw Get Out last night. Go check it out, man. It's awesome. I won't tell you anything about it, man, but like, all I'm going to say is, watch out for the girlfriend." I'm like, now, of course, I watch it. I'm like, well, fuck, man. I knew that the whole time. Something's wrong with her.
Yeah.
So that was unfortunate, but that wasn't, anything with the movie's fault at all.
No.
But yeah, you got anything else you want to say about this?
I think we covered everything we needed to cover.
Jordan Peele, man, good job with this, man. It's a +1 for me. I'll check out the next film and give you my thoughts about that eventually someday too. But yeah, anyway, I'm Ricky Mortis.
And I'm Boris Lagosa. This
has been Within the Night, guys. We'll see you guys soon. Later. Hey, listen, make sure you subscribe. subscribe to our channel and also our YouTube. I forgot that part. It's important. We need the likes. We need the views, man. That's how we get paid.
Right.
You know, you're all our friends. We love you very much. And if you're looking for someone to sponsor, we'll definitely take a beer sponsor. Because
That's for sure.
we're drinking cheap shit right now. It's okay.
Iron City, City of Champions.
Beg to differ. All right, guys. Have a good one.